Hey, welcome to this video, guys. We're gonna do pattern recognition number 10. Number 10! So buckle up. First, some patterns in action. This is a bullet game, so things happen really fast. I played bishop c5 check, and again, these moves are made almost instantly. And it just shows the pattern recognition in action. I saw this pattern immediately. Now mind you, queen f8 does hang the f6 pawn, but this is a bullet game, so noticing the pattern is more important. And now, boom, knight g3, the Karpov choke. Check it out. I will link to the video in the description. Pause the video for this one if you need some time, but should be obvious. It's more or less the same pattern. Knight g6, check. Notice that the bishop is covering the g8 square, and after the forced recapture, again, yeah, the bishop covers g8, and rook h1 is the next move. There's no way for black to interpose anything. The Karpov choke in action. Another bullet game where I'm struggling, but what comes to the rescue? Another pattern. This was number 1. Notice the knight. I play rook takes h7, and once he takes, we execute the Anastasia mate. One of my favorite patterns, and always nice when you can use this one to win your games. And here is a funny one. This was my friend Braille, and he played d5 in a blitz game, and this was just a cheap trap. White fell into it, he took on d6, but what happens? It opens the diagonal for the bishop, covering g1, and we don't need much time here. Knight g3, he executed the Karpov choke. Check to the king, must take, queen h6, Czechoslovakia, checkmate coming up. You can only interpose the queen. So this ends the game. Beautiful pattern that Braille used nicely there to win a blitz. Recently I reposted this one on my Facebook page. This is Anand's mate. The rook's on the h file combined with the queen. Put the queen on f6, threatening the x-ray on h8, and after black takes the queen. Notice the pawn covering the escape squares, and we're going to give checkmate on h8. Next move. Another beautiful pattern in action. This was a puzzle on Polgar's page that I reposted. So let's go on to the pattern for today. And we will start with a video from a recent rapid event. It's Carlsen against Lagrave. Carlsen to move, he plays king f4 check, discovered check, and I thought this was a very instructive moment. He plays knight f5, and we'll come back to that.
Why not?
I saw another interesting clip recently, which sort of
like my knight's got nothing better to do. Whatever.
It's the same thing.
And look how nice that knight is, right? The knight on f7 just.
And look what Jesse said.
Yeah, that's
look how nice that knight is, and why is it so nice? And that's more or less our topic of the day.
So that was that game, and
So our pattern is actually the knight defending the king. And whenever I see that pattern, I think of this game. We just had knight f5 played by Yusupov. He had the black pieces in one of the best French games I've ever seen against Andrei Sokolov and the candidates. We're just going to go quickly over some moves here. White seemingly is moving his forces closer to the black king, but black takes on c2 check, and now he takes on d4. And this is really unbelievable because we have a queen and a rook, 15 points of material against the king and a knight, basically 3 points defending, and maybe 4 if we give the king a point. But there are no checks. The queen can't go to b8. The knight defends. Knight defending the king. It can't go to d8. The knight is defending it. Incidentally, the rook can't go to f6 because the queen is there. But notice the great job the knight is doing. Queen a6 is not possible. It's not a check. In this case, you can't go to f8 because of the knight, but most of the defending is done by the strong knight. I had this pattern in mind in one of my games. I just played rook e3, but this seemingly allows my opponent to bring his queen closer to my king, and I don't have any real pawn shelter for my king, so I might be worried. But if he goes to h1, I know I can interpose the knight on g2. If he goes to b1, I can interpose the knight on e2. So I don't have to worry. He played queen h1, I moved my rook, I allowed him to take the pawn. Now, I could play knight g2 in some cases, but I went to e3. And still, with the knight close to the king, no pawn shelter, the knight does a great job. In this case, the queen helps, it covers g3 and g1. But the knight is covering h3, and there are no checks. And after rook f8, he blundered. I played queen g6 and have a winning position. So, trying to simplify it a bit, let's have a look at a queen on d8 trying to battle this king on f7. Notice that even so close to the king, there's only one check, the check on c7. The yellow checks are covered by the knight, and the green ones covered by the king, and actually by the knight as well. Even moving the queen a little bit, we still see that the knight defending the king is giving the queen great problems. We can't give checks on h7 or h5, it's covered by the knight. So to give checks, we'd have to go all the way over to c4 or c7, and this will take two moves. We'd have to go to diagonal, maybe queen h3 to b3, or queen f4 to c7. So it's a very useful pattern, and it can be very important in your games, in calculations, evaluating stuff. Just knowing this, okay, he's gonna need two moves to give me a check, and this can be invaluable in certain spots. So now, going back to the Carlsen example, I think we better understand why knight f5, why I thought it was such an interesting moment. The thing is, Carlsen played this move intuitively. He knew the knight defends the king. Once I put the knight there, I don't have to worry about checks. He's going to need two moves to give me a check. I can maneuver my queen, maybe give queen checks, and then move my pawn. And if he gives me one check, I will go to the other side, my king is safe. Very useful pattern. And this same pattern, forced recognition, resignation was what I meant to say, in the Kremlin game. Look at the nice knight on f7, it covers everything. But it can't give checks. The knight is covering h6, even if the queen could jump to d6, it's not accessible because the knight covers it. So remember this pattern, the knight covering the king can be a very good one. So yeah, this was pattern recognition number 10, the knight covering the king. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and see you in the next one, yo!